Hey guys, it's Adam from the Dimensional Gamer Squad, here with Beast Quest Series 6 Beast Review, The World of Chaos. And before I get into this video, shout out to Lucas Green for doing the great story reviews on these. I would actually not be doing this series if it wasn't for his story reviews, influencing me to do the Beast reviews. So thank you for that, Lucas Green. That's actually not sarcastic this time. And I really do mean every word I say. Thank you for that. And now let's get right to the video. Starting off with Komodo the Lizard King. Straight away, it's an alright starter book, not the best. It's not the worst at all, because I'm pretty sure there's another starter book that's going to be out there that's a lot worse, in my opinion. So anyway, design is a 6. It is just a giant lizard, a Komodo dragon, if I say so myself. Thank you, one of my teachers who teach me about lizards. That was not in the test paper though, so I just wasted a whole year learning about lizards. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for just being a giant animal, a giant lizard. I gave it a few extra points for intimidation, because apparently it's intimidating when it bares its teeth, which basically every beast does in this series. But at the end of the day, giant animals don't get a very high score, even if they are very intimidating. Abilities is a 7, because being agile on the same terrain 2 different ways is great. Underwater and underground and on the ground. It's also can use its it can create sand pit traps. Yeah, is it sand pit trap? Yeah, sand traps, kind of like Tremor did back in Series 5. So if you're watching the playlist it's going to be on, then you should remember it, because it's only 2 books ago. But yeah, 7. Meh abilities, meh design. The fight, however, was actually really good. I liked that Komodo basically killed himself by not being able to turn when his tail's chopped off and having to run off a cliff, which he survived. Then he died. So I'm gonna say he succumbed to his injuries. And that fight total was a 7 out of 10. So the total, if you're really good at maths, is a 20 out of 30. Like I said, meh design, meh abilities. It was an okay fight, not the best starter book at all, not the worst. I'm sure Torgor was a lot worse than Komodo. Sorry, people that actually like Torgor or kind of forced to like him due to Chinese zodiac sign being, well, an ox. But Torgor is the worst starter book so far. Bear in mind, that's my opinion. By the way, if Torgor is going to be your Chinese zodiac sign of the ox, I'm just saying you forgot about Minos or Rathgor. So also oxes, bulls, I don't know. Anyway, I haven't got to those books yet. Anyway, let's go on to book 2, being Muro. I'm going to say Muro though. The rat monster. Design, same reason as Komodo, is also a 6. At the end of the day, it is just a rat. So honestly, I'm surprised I gave it around the same points as Komodo, because I love lizards more than, well, rats. But same score, because they're just giant animal. Basically, Control C, Control V, copy and paste, and just change the animal. They made it intimidating though, with the lack of eyeballs, well, lack of pupils, yeah, lack of pupils, and it's baring its teeth, which I said every beast in the series does. So it's just a 6. Abilities is a 7. It can run through run through? It's agile I'm going to be saying agile a lot throughout the whole series, like all of the seasons, because most of the beasts are agile. And then there's just some that are just really slow, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of beasts that's really slow. I'm going to say Vipero. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back to Series 6. Nero is agile on the ground, just on the ground, has a very foul scent, and the thing that caused it to go from, let's say, a 4 to a 7 with its abilities is the fact that even though it's blind, it can't see crap. Its whiskers guide him the way. Unlike other beasts which use their ears to go around, Muro has used his whiskers as well as his ears. So, good, a handicap there, and the only reason why I like Muro. Still in my least favourite bunch. The fight is a 7 because, well, how do I put this delicately? The tail also helps Muro turn left and right like Komodo's. This is a copy and paste, isn't it? And the only way that Tom defeated Muro was by chopping off his tail as well as his whiskers. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Muro did have some help, being a whole town going after Tom and Alina, because they were, I'm going to say, enchanted by this broth Velma was making whilst he was wearing a hood, and Tom and Alina nearly ate it. But Silver stopped him, so good boy, Silver, you are a good boy. So total was 20 out of 30. The fight was a bit bland, a bit copy and paste, but abilities are good. Like, if you have a foul scent, someone has to put their hand over their nose, so then they just have one hand to try and fight someone, unless they are actually really good. So, well done, Tom. Now we're going to move on to what I would say is a much better book. We're going to go to Fang the Bat Fiend. Design is a 7, Control-C, Control-V of giant animals, but actually doesn't look as much of a bat as the others look more like a rat and a lizard. So 7 for this design. It is very intimidating as well. Honestly, it was scary. It's so scary. Abilities is also a 7, being able to guide himself through caves like a normal bat would with echolocation. That's a word I've never used before and never will again, actually, unless there's another bat beast I don't know about. Okay. Anyway, even though Fang does have eyeballs and pupils, he actually can't see for anything. So he relies on echolocation to help him go through the caves. He can obviously fly, and he's very agile in enclosed spaces such as a cave. And also, I just remembered this ability, which is the reason why I gave it a 7. When let's say Tom is near Fang, or anyone near Fang, their vision goes blurry when Fang is flapping his wings, meaning it's going to be hard for Tom to see, so he has to rely on his own hearing to defeat Fang. So that's really good abilities, and the fight I gave an 8 to, because Tom did use what I just said to help him, but what actually helped defeat Fang was that he basically drowned Fang as well as flood the mines that they were in to not only defeat Fang but also let the miners go free, which they are so ungrateful for. Oh, ungrateful little buggers. Yeah, they're really ungrateful. But I see why they're ungrateful, because, well, their only place to actually get some money, have a living, has just been destroyed. So now I need to go back to their homes, broke AF, broke as, and basically just die. Like everyone does in these books. Anyway, the total was a 22 out of 30. It was a great fight, okay design and abilities. I love the abilities the most so far this season. And it's gonna take a really good beast to overtake a Fang with abilities and fight. And there is one more beast in here, which is the reason. And if you know me well enough, you'll know which one it is. It's not this one though. Merc the Swamp Man is next. Design wise, it is only a 7 out of 10. It is just a giant swamp man. What? It's basically a giant. It's a giant entity of basically, well, a marsh with vines on his legs, fire in his head for some reason. I do not understand that. And just covered in this green ooze. So that's alright, I'm gonna say. Abilities is an 8. If he's fighting his opponents in the marsh, he's virtually indestructible, which is pretty much his only ability, apart from a few others, which is why he got such a high score, being pretty much indestructible unless it goes off the marsh, where he'll just harden up and just basically get chiseled to death. But also he can control his vines to tie his opponents down and either drown them if he wishes, or finish them off by himself whilst they are confined to their one area that they're standing in because of their vines. The fight is an 8. I nearly read Fang's fight, but it's still the same number. So abilities 8, fight is also an 8 because, as I said, he will harden up when he's off the marsh, which is how he got defeated. And trust me, he would not go down. He was probably one of the hardest beasts for Tom to take down, simply because if you chop off an arm, he will holler in pain. But if you just chisel him down to where it's just his chest along with his head, he will still be alive. You have to, I'm going to say this just because he has one, extinguish the flame to finish him, which I'm pretty sure is what they did. I can't remember that part though, but it was a good fight. I generally enjoyed this fight, from what I can remember. The score is, yes again, the highest score of the series. 23 out of 30, tied with a bunch of other beasts with their score. I'm not going to say it's deserving of 23, but it's more deserving than Stealth. It has great abilities, it was a great fight, but it was an okay design. So that's all I can say about Merc. Let's move on to Terra, Curse of the Forest. Design is a 7. It is just a giant tree, but it is very intimidating and honestly one of the most scariest designs I've ever seen. Because you would never expect a tree to be alive and just pretending to be a normal tree, but when you go near it to inspect it, it just reaches out, grabs you, and with its ability, which is why its ability is ranked as a 7, it could blend into the surroundings, and it could turn his victims into little wooden trees, which I thought was actually one of the best abilities so far this whole series of Beast Quest, and which is also why it is now one of my favourite books of this series. I'm not sure what I can say about this to make it get a higher score, apart from its fight didn't actually have what you would expect and have an axe being used to chop him down, or have fire, kill him with fire. Instead, they made him fall over and Tom chopped off what he needed off the branches on his head. Not noticeable in the cover, but it was just a white flower they needed, and that's what caused Terra to die. So if the fight was a little more made, I'd say more sense, because Terra basically got defeated by being knocked over by another tree. So well done, Terra. You're a tree and you got killed by another tree. Total is 21 out of 30, and this is the exact statement I said for this, or wrote it down. All around good beast, equal scores. I'm pretty sure I said the same thing for Cayman as well. But it was a really good beast, a lot better than Fang, Muro and Komodo. I would not go as far to say it's better than Merc though. Merc is going to be a tough one to beat. But as I said, Merc is not the best one of the series. It's actually this one. Now, I said this only one of you people watching, and I know you're watching because you watch pretty much every video this channel uploads. This one is actually my favourite beast so far. With a design of an 8, I have to be a bit biased here. I gave it, I think the same score I gave a Mixus. Yes, it is, because they're both giant bugs. But as I said with a Mixus, they're both incredibly intimidating. And that's what gives Vespiq the cake with the most intimidating design. Or the best design. It's his claw, I need to say her now, it's a queen, the wasp queen. Her claws are razor thin sharp, as you can see on the cover. And let's go on to the abilities, which I gave a whopping 9 to. I believe the highest score so far with abilities. Unless Epos's abilities count. But I generally don't know why I gave Epos for abilities. I'll go and check at the end of the video, and you could just go back to episode 1 of this series to watch. But anyway, abilities is an 8. 9. Abilities are 9. Agile on the land and in the air. Her wings can basically slice her victims in half. As I said, razor thin claws. And also pretty much the best karate moves I've ever seen. A fight is a 9, and it's a similar reason to why I gave Furno the score for the fight. But this one was longer than one chapter, and it was way more intense because it had them plummeting to the ground as well. But this one took place in the air and almost ended with both of them dying. Tom had to chop off Vespiq's wings, so then she would plummet to her death in the moat that she landed in, whilst Tom used his shield with the eagle feather, which Arxa gave him. That's the only reason why I like Arxa. And help him land safety. And that's how Vespiq got defeated. I'm really upset that Vespiq got defeated. I really did like this book. 26 out of 30, best beast so far, excellent fights and abilities. It was a great design. Anyway, let's get to the rankings. I'm pretty sure when I have really nothing else to upload, when I'm waiting for a next series, I'll be doing my top 10 favourite and least favourite. And let's get to the rankings. This is going to be on my top 10 least favourite, being Muro the Rat Monster. It, like I said when I was reviewing it, the design is worse than Komodo, just a tiny bit. Its abilities, I would say, was better, but its fight was boring. Komodo, as you may have guessed, is next. Despite the fact I actually do like this book, I really like all the books in this series apart from one. But, this one, I won't say where it will come in the least favourites, but I'm sorry if you actually like Komodo. There's not many of you out there, but Komodo is just a giant lizard. And it's not that intimidating compared to the next one, being Fang. Man, I hate these giant animals, don't I? Fang is just a giant bat, rather intimidating, much more intimidating. And I'm a sucker for beasts that can fly. So, you know a carnivore is coming up, don't you? And that's it. All I can say about Fang. I said all I wanted to on its review. And that's it. Next is Terra. Just a giant treat. Man, there's so many bland designs for beasts, but I love them. Terra, it's like an arachnid. Never judge a book by its cover. This one looked terrible, but it's really good. I don't know why people hated it so much. Next is Merc the Swamp Man. Obviously, it will be here because, well, Vespiq is, well, like I said, my favourite. I'm not sure what I can say about Merc apart from its design is kind of like the others and a bit bland. Its abilities was great though, not the best. And finally, Vespiq. Well, just go to the review about it. I said all I liked about it, and it's going to take a really good beast to beat it. And that's actually all I have for now. So, one more time, subscribe to Lucas Green, watch his Beast Quest book reviews. They are great. And that is all for this time. If you liked what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Lynxy Series 3 review won't be coming tomorrow. It will have to come next week or week after. I'm sorry if I'm postponing it. I want it to be great, but also I am very busy with other stuff, so I can't exactly watch the episodes. So anyway, if you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I already said this before, and I'll see you next time.